As far as Mr. Nemeth is concerned, bro, he's very, very smart because Tony has made it clear, I'm a billionaire. I will throw money around. And you know darn well that Tony Khan will settle with him for this to go away. Bro, $1 million is nothing to Tony Khan to settle this. And that's what's going to happen.
Let's talk about Ryan Nemeth versus CM Punk story.
Nemeth.
This one was Nemeth. No, that's right, Nemeth. This is the entire transcript from Fightful. So Fightful has obtained a complaint sent to numerous executives within All Elite Wrestling back in September, in which Ryan Nemeth outlined a timeline of events that he says highlight abuse, harassment, and threats he faced while working in AEW. Note that these are the individual claims of Nemeth himself, primarily as outlined in the documents sent to numerous AEW executives. The complaint was dated on September 12th and noted that though the abuse stemmed from now WWE superstar Phil Brooks as CM Punk, his real issue was that AEW failed to respond to any of the incidents and was encouraged to cut a promo antagonizing Punk.
You think you know all the wrestling stories? There's more you haven't heard yet. Join us on Backstage Pass.
Nemeth includes a timeline, which he claims he also possesses emails, texts, phone calls, logs, and other records. Punk is also referred to as, quote, a former AEW talent who also had an undisclosed, such not publicly known, executive producer manager title with AEW. On April 6, 2023, Nemeth claims that he contacted then AEW legal rep Mega Parekh with concerns he'd be targeted by Brooks. Nemeth says that on June 21st, 2023, Brooks did threaten him in an AEW locker room. Nemeth claims that Tony Schiavone, Parekh, and the Young Bucks all showed him empathy, and says he's assured his relationship with AEW won't be impacted, though it doesn't specify who assured him. Nemeth notes that he was not booked for 2 months after this incident, and that Jon Moxley contacted him and said it didn't sit right with him and supported him through the timeline. And so then I'm going to paraphrase the rest. On July 17, 2023, contacted the legal rep at that time to communicate that he was upset with AEW, that they didn't respond to the locker room incident. He felt like he was being punished. He was assured by the legal rep that speaking up wouldn't impact his job. So then on August 12th, about a month later, he was booked for the first time in 2 months. And then he arrived in Greensboro. He was asked to leave. And Pat Buck at the time had originally told him that there was travel confusion before confirming that Brooks demanded he be removed from the venue. At the time, so Nemeth said he had audio recording. Then Nemeth contacted the legal rep again, pleading for his action to be taken. Then he was flown to the August 16th show. His wording in the document was, quote, ordered to verbally antagonize the world champion, which was Punk at the time, in a promo in front of the crowd. So that basically the way to speak up for himself and all this was to cut a promo in front of the crowd, taped for AEW. And then he claims that after speaking with the legal rep and HR, there was no appropriate response to anything in that situation. And then Mega Parekh left her job in AEW legal. And then Nemeth was instead dealing with Chris Peck and Margaret Stalvey. And then after Brooks' incident with Perry at All Out, Nemeth was asked to speak to outside counsel if they were investigating the situation. He communicated that he's been speaking regarding the pattern of behavior for months, was concerned about being made the fall guy for Brooks' behavior. This is a long thing. So he's met with mental health professionals. He did speak with Tony Khan and others in AEW months ago that Khan had entertained the idea of Nemeth returning to AEW. However, Nemeth did not wish to. As someone who knows Nick and his brother, Ryan Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler. And so, what do you think about all this? Like, knowing Nick, knowing Dolph, Ryan, what do you think about all this based on
Dolph is Nick Nemeth. Ryan is
Nick Nemeth? Yes, Ryan Nemeth is his brother. Yes.
I have a very close personal relationship with Ryan Nemeth, and I had no idea any of this, so I didn't until I saw the email know this existed. But what I can say about him is that, especially when it comes to legalities and corporate structure, he's very cunning, and he's very much going to document things. So what to think about it? I mean, he said, she said, legalities, we don't know really what is to be said. We don't really know the variations of truth between all parties involved. But what we do know is that everything is accountable for leadership at the top. And this just seems like something where leadership failed to get ahead of something or to have uncomfortable but needful conversations with the talent. Whereas even in fact, as a leader, maybe there's an issue between Ryan and Phil that perhaps, well, Phil is the draw and he is the champion and he is the top guy in the company. And Ryan, you're mid-card and not the necessary cog in the wheel. I have to play this game with him while this is going on. We will take care of you kind of thing. And I think that would probably solve everything really fast. So I just think it's leaders like, and then like, I'll just go cut a shoot promo on him. Like, that's bullshit. Sorry. But like, I get like there's a difference between apprehensions and like emotions to drive great character work and talent. But if that's the cause or the solution to cure legitimate, real beefs that are possibly going to tear our business apart, you have to get in front of it and you have to just have the conversations with the talent.
Yeah. Based on your relationship with Ryan, knowing him, do you see the legitimacy in his claims here?
I don't know the situation enough to what happened between him and Punk, but I can
not saying that it happened. Not saying it's all alleged, but do you see like the legitimacy of just him wanting to, all the things that he went through? Do you think that he wouldn't just be he's not in the character to just make this stuff up?
I think with the issues at hand, when bringing them up and being given the runaround, like go cut a promo, or I think there's some bit at the tail end about like, well, we're gonna compensate you this amount of months pay for it, but then they took the deal away. I think that was in there. Where then, it's absolutely legitimate because hey, if this is how a person feels, who am I to say if they're feeling the right way or the wrong way about it?
Yeah. Vince, what do you think about all this, man? Is this messy to you when it comes to all this AEW legal stuff?
Bro, it's messy for a very, very simple reason, man. And this happened from day one. Bro, the minute the boys are also executive vice presidents of the company, and he's clearly saying here that Punk was in an executive role, bro, you've got a problem. You've got a problem because your peers are now your boss and your boss. It's a huge problem. And Tony Khan, not knowing that was like such a taboo that you never, it's office or the boys. It's never both. He didn't have a clue. He immediately named these guys executive vice presidents. And if you look at the history of AEW, that has led to nothing but trouble. And bro, also as far as Mr. Nemeth is concerned, bro, he's very, very smart because Tony has made it clear, I'm a billionaire. I will throw money around. And you know darn well that Tony Khan will settle with him for this to go away. Bro, $1 million is nothing to Tony Khan to settle this. And that's what's going to happen. Yeah. But, like I said, he created this problem when, handing out vice presidents to the wrestlers. That's a nightmare, man.
I think talent can have some deviation of duties that are beyond just being one of the boys, but then it has to come with clear parameters and where they are. So I don't like executive vice president. I mean, that's a title thrown around, but like I think talent can have dual responsibilities outside there, and also as long as their say doesn't affect how they are booked, which will obviously happen in politics, or how other talent are booked. So it does have a slippery slope. I think it could be done, but not like that, for sure.
Does either one of you think that Tony Khan will learn from this situation?
Learn what lesson, though, I guess, to what Vince said, which is
just making one of the boys in such a prominent position.
I can't see anybody else short of Cena or The Rock or Randy coming over that he would use that carrot to dangle or that caveat. But I think he did probably learn a lesson on the executive vice president title being thrown around like a participation trophy.
Yeah. Which is the reason why you don't have them doing that anymore. Although I think the Young Bucks made it part of their gimmick, but I mean, there were like 4 or 5 of them. Cody, Omega, the Bucks. It was just a bunch of people saying they EVPs for a while. So
I think the one thing you can do is make it part of the gimmick. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's funny. They were heels. Vince, if there was, how do you mold that into a Vince McMahon mind as far as like even the thought of people pitching to be EVPs that are boys in the business?
Oh God, bro, would never happen in a million years. Would never happen. And bro, it's funny, you asked the question, do you think Tony Khan learned his lesson? Bro, look at the role he's got Double J in right now. Jeff's doing a lot of office stuff, and he's also one of the boys. Oh. So I don't know, man. I've not seen Tony Khan learn too much over the last 5 years, man.
Yeah. There's a few people that have prominent spots that are still boys in the business. So, man, we shall see. With these dwindling ratings and. I heard there was some really bad production, stuff, and then Tony Khan posted a tweet about it, and it's just like, man, when do you say, oh, that was a snafu, right? Like instead of saying, oh, we got to thank our production team, they did wonderful. Come on, man, it becomes very prideful and very unteachable if someone can admit their wrongdoing. Like, oops. Like, even if he would have said a tweet, it was like, oops, and like one of those cover your mouth or just something
shrug
like
emoji.
Yeah, exactly. The shrug emoji. That's another good one too. Something like that. Just say, but just to cover it up and say, thank our production.
Yeah, and like maybe a lesson for him that's good for every human being on earth is like no human being is perfect. Nothing will ever always go right. And then if you can just own mistakes and learn from them, I think the fan base, especially an AEW fan base or a wrestling fan base in general, is going to be extremely forgiving to talents or ownership, especially if it's Tony, if they can just go, well, I made a mistake on that one. We'll do better next time. Or, ha ha ha, LOL, emoji, my bad, guys. And then, people be very, it's fine. It's okay, buddy. Just get him next week.
Agreed. Again, I'll go back to the to the Domino's campaign. Like, oops! Like our pizza sucks. We've heard you. We suck.
And I just saw guys on castrating the marks. There was a Tony Khan interview from like literally last week, and Chris, he must have said the word "great" 100 times. Like he was talking, you would have thought he was talking about the WWE. And I don't think what he understands is, bro, we're all seeing the numbers, we're all seeing the attendance. You keep talking like this, all you're doing is losing credibility. I mean, by him saying we're great, does he think he's going to convince people that they're great? You're just losing credibility, man. I mean, and it's like what EC3, listen, man, hey, this is my first 5 years in this game. I've made some mistakes. I'm learning. We're making the changes. But bro, he sits there. This is great. That was great. This is great. That was great. I'm like, bro, you have zero credibility at this point, man.
Yeah, because when you have those moments, Vince, and similar to what EC3 was saying, as far as like, do the tweet. I mean, just admit that you are wrong. That brings opportunity for growth. When you always I've said this before, man. The best way to the best way to handle things from a PR standpoint is get ahead of the curve, man. You get the power. You keep the power and you keep the leverage when you admit a screw up before the media wave does, or before the social media sharks do. Like, because the social media sharks, they're going to try to they're looking to call your bluff and saying you're great. They're going to call your bluff on that. And we've seen that every single week when it comes to these numbers. People are just calling his bluff. And when people see, crap like that or BS like that, they're going to call your bluff and they're going to bring receipts. And that's what we've seen every single week, of people calling his bluff by bringing receipts. And that doesn't help his audience. It makes them, it's condescending to his audience, because when he's not, when he's not admitting those types of failures, it's like you already have people who are trying to support, who want to support you. But when you're condescending them by saying that I'm bulletproof, basically, then they're like, okay, I got receipts to prove that that's wrong. You know what I mean? So I just wish that he would be, again, man, I wish that he had a PR agent that would really tell him and consult these things with him. So you want to do it, East?
Sure. I'd be really good at it.
EC3 for AEW PR representative.